about being born again, anew from above. And that's when Nicodemus's curiosity turns to struggle. This is a really common technique in John's Gospel. As the confusion or misunderstanding of Jesus' dialogues, it gives Jesus a chance to elaborate. So Nicodemus asks him to elaborate later. After his initial confusion stemming from taking Jesus' words literally. The only other thing Nicodemus actually says is, "How can this be?" What a cue for an elaboration. Jesus is talking apples, and Nicodemus is talking oranges. We too, I don't know about you, but we too sometimes conduct these conversations with each other. Sometimes by night, as it happens in this instance. Our conversations are marked also perhaps by a wide difference of views and by an enormous range of subject matter under consideration. Sometimes when we have arguments and counter-arguments, we approach each other as if from a far distance. At no time does the distance between us become more clear than when we talk about God, or have you noticed that yourself? Sometimes conversations about the divine are a bit like a dance. You might be waltzing and I might be doing the cha-cha. Nevertheless, we're both dancing. We might say, you see God one way and I see God in another way. And hopefully we can have a respectful conversation. And we call that tolerance. And we should treasure it. I remember this year listening to the Wreath lectures, and the message that I took from that is, in order to achieve change, you don't gather people who have all exactly the same views. It is important to have people with some overlapping views and some difference, and out of that comes a richness and an energy for change. So remember that if you're say in a home group, it isn't important that you all share the same views. It's important that there's some overlap because there's a richness in our differences. There's a richness in our differences. The conversation of Jesus with Nicodemus takes a whole different course. It almost takes off when about God. He thought only about his own questions, his own needs, his own concerns. He wished, even though in a refined and deep sense, to confirm his own opinion on the authority of Jesus. He was looking for reassurance and familiar territory, and he didn't get that. Jesus would not permit himself to be used in that way. As long as one stands under the corrugated iron roof, one can only dream of God. But Jesus came to drag men and women out of their dreaming of religious ideas, their feelings and their conversations, to put them before the supreme reality of God. Which makes me think about our questioning. Sometimes we question so much we don't even listen. We must come forth from under the roof, and then the questions will fall away. We must awaken ourselves to God. We must have eyes for God's concerns. Then our own concerns will shrink. We must recognize that God wants us for him. Then we should not think so much about getting something from him. He must enter into the center of our lives. Then much that today troubles us and oppresses us will itself come to the brim, overflow, and leave us. That's such a lovely image, isn't it? There's this new thing that my husband drew my attention to this week. It was in The Guardian. And it's a new thing that's happening in Sweden, and it's called, I don't know if anyone's read about it, it's called darking. Darking, not barking, darking. And a group of people go into the woods in the early evening before it gets